Hello and happy, what is today? Wednesday. Welcome to the channel, Learn to Trade. Hope everyone's doing well. Today I'm going to start talking about, I've been in Utah for a while. We had a big company retreat, a traders retreat, trader summit, I think is what they call it. And it was pretty amazing. And we had a keynote speaker. His name is Dr. Craig Manning. If you haven't checked him out, I highly recommend go checking him out. He does some TED Talks, has a book, um, about unlocking the mind and creating a top performing, high functioning mind. He has his doctorate degree and he works in sports performance. Sports psychology, I guess, is how you do it. And one of the big things that I took away from there is he was talking about being authentic, making sure you use your words correctly. Self talk, and then truth, right? And creating truth, not someone else's truth, but your truth. And I think that's one of the things that we really push in our program is your own truth. Because if somebody else can do something and they've created something and they believe that it works or they know that it works and they've gone through the process, well, that's their truth. Now, if you see something that somebody's doing and you enjoy it, that's awesome. It's time. It's like, hey, I've seen this. They've shown me some results. I think it's amazing. I want to try this out. Perfect. But to really get the confidence to trade it, there's some steps that we get to probably go through to help build our truth. And depending on where you're at on the scale of your skill as becoming a trader, it's probably going to be kind of a different way that you have to attack this. So the biggest point is number one, you need to believe or you need to get a belief system that it works. Now, you have a slight belief system if somebody told you that it works or they're trying it out and having success, and maybe they showed you some data about it. So that is almost kind of spiking your interest, right? The second part I would do is going back, and I'm going to go over this today a little bit, but going back into replay and starting to see some results for yourself. Now, the more you get in historical data or replay or back testing, however you want to look at it, the higher the amount that you get. So the more samples that you get over a large period of time, I'd say the bigger that belief should become of becoming true. But this is where a disconnect is. Just because you go back and you back test something and maybe get 250, 350, 400, 500 back tested, replayed trades, and it works, mathematically, that should be truth. And you should just be able to sell off into the sunset. But what I found over my 7 years of coaching this and 8 years of doing it myself is that's not the case, right? The final truth comes from being able to trade this and actually seeing this happen in the live market. But what we're doing now, especially if it's something new, we want to go back and start getting some belief in this and seeing some results. And like I said, the bigger sample size you get, the more true you should think it is. So this is the 2x4. I think it's very simple. If you're a trader and you've been through this program, it probably seems pretty simple. The concept's probably going to seem very simple. But just because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different charts up here, I have a clean pressure, I have 4 clean pressure charts, 4 major charts, and 4th in oranges that I'm looking at. I'm going to tell you right now, it seems like it's a simple concept. I can walk through this and you'll be like, that's very easy. I can do this. But it's a very complicated trade plan. And where you get to figure some things out, like it's so crazy. I see people that go back and back test this and they get all the proof. And they can even actually trade it in the live market at a very high, which we talk about, execution level. But they don't, right when something starts to go or feel like it's going wrong, they abandon the trade plan. Well, why? Well, because they see a lot of things happening and they don't know if those things work or don't work. And because they haven't really eliminated all the possibilities, then, or disproved, I call it disproving the things before it or some different signals, they're probably going to go and get attracted to those. So like I said, depending on what your belief system is or where you are on the scale of becoming a trader, depends on probably what you get to do. Now, for me, I'm a trader. I know this works. I know the process works because I've been through it enough. Now, it took me a while to get belief in this process, but I have it now. So for me, I could just grab somebody's trade plan, go back, get some examples, kind of see it, get the feel for it, be like, okay, this works, and just trade it and run off into the sunset. I couldn't do that when I was a very beginning trader. I had to go through and disprove things in steps and know why I have to have all these charts on. But that will be a later session. So right now, and this trade plan was from, I'm in Central Time. I got this from my cousin Jared. He is in Mountain Time, so he looks at the 7 and 8 o'clock candle post. So that would be my 8 and 9. I'm actually going, and I want to try the 7 my time, which would be 6 his time. So I want to actually try 3 posts, which would be the 7, 8, and 9. Right. And so here is the 7 o'clock. This was just this week. Okay. I haven't had any. I wasn't. This is why I want to start testing this because I think a couple of days this actually set up an hour before, and I waited, and the next 2 hours it didn't set up. So I want to kind of go back a little bit early to see if there's an opportunity for there as well. So this trade plan is pretty simple. If the price is above, right? So here's our pressure line. The price where it closes above both pressure lines. So we'd want to naturally be looking for a trade in the buy direction, and it's touching. Some part of this is touching the green pressure line, meaning that we don't, even though this price is above over here, how it's pushed away from the pressure, we don't want to take that trade. And a lot of times when the price gets away from the pressure, right, or the candle gets away from the pressure, or something's not touching the pressure, sometimes it likes to start coming back towards the pressure. So we wanted to start at the pressure and hopefully push away from the pressure and hit our take profit. Right? Now, once we have this saying it's going to buy, we just come back here and we just want confirmation. And they call this the 2x4. See up here, 2x4. That means on these 4 charts, we need 2 out of 3. You can have 3 out of 3, but we need at least 2 out of 3 of the green pressure line, the green major line, and the thin orange pointing in the direction that we want to go over here. So we'd be looking for the up direction. So we got 1, 2, 3, check. 1, 2, 3, check. 1, 2, check. And 1, 2, check. So we do have the rules met here. Some other things too, like I like to kind of take notes and journal while I'm trading. And I really like to say, okay, well, these are my rules. Do I think it's going to hit my take profit? And with all these greens being on top, and even though only 2 of these are pointing up, you have greens on top, which I like. They've been on top for a little bit. I like that as well. And we're starting to get the inclination to actually start going up into the buy direction or towards the buy direction. So Jared does a 1 to 1.5. I don't want to do that. I want to do a 1 to 1, and I've been doing a 2 to 1, meaning that my uh, risk was twice as much as my take profit for a long time. Now I've tested other things and traded other things, but I got very comfortable with a 2 to 1, and now I'm starting to kind of teach a 1 to 1. I like that as a starting point a little bit better, and then we can kind of adjust what we want to do. And so I'm comfortable with a 1 to 1. I don't know if I'm comfortable with a 1 to 1.5, but I can start taking notes as I go. So I'm going to stick with the money management that I'm comfortable with. And Jared does it a little bit different as well. He uses kind of levels. I like using the ATR, and I like to double the ATR on my smallest chart or my entry chart, which is usually my smallest chart. So we double that. It's 146, 146. We're going to take a buy trade, and let's see what happens. Now, I can also kind of look here and take some notes when I'm journaling and saying, well, 73 times 3, that would be a 1 to 1.5, is 219. So we can kind of take some notes and see if it works or doesn't work. Let's see about this. Good. And it pushes away. So that one did win. I'm just going to kind of see here if, so I was at 76. Excuse me, 73. Okay, so the ATR is 73. I double it, so I'm at 170. Should be 176. Yeah, 174. And then tripling that would be that right up there. So I wanted to get it close to that. So let's see if it gets up there. And no, it would have came down and hit my stop loss. All right. Cool. I got one of my data points here. Perfect. Now let's go to the next day. All right. And this is how we go back and we start building that trust and that belief in the trade plan. All right? So here we go. And again, this, you know, even the hour before, I believe it would have set up and probably would have looked like it would have been okay. And so that's, I like to kind of look and see and maybe go back and kind of check it. Right now, this would be 6 o'clock in the morning, which is fine. I get up that early. Okay. And this is why I want to start kind of looking at the earlier time frames to see if this would happen. So we can go back and double check this, but this would be the 7 o'clock. They're all pointing up here, but this is pushed away from the pressure line. So we wouldn't take that. Right. And this is why we might not take that, because when it gets pushed away from the pressure line, a lot of times it likes to get pulled back towards the pressure line. Now, this is actually setting up. Even though it's a red candle, price is still above here. So it's still above the pressure lines. That's where it closed at. It's touching, something is touching the green. The shadow is actually touching the green pressure line. But do we have 2 out of 3 back here to take the trade? So thin orange is great, but that's down that, but we have it, right? So we have 1 up, no, yes. 1, 2, yes. Down, I'd say that's not up. I'd say that's flat, and that's up. So right here, we only have 1 in our direction, right? So because of that right there being flat and not pointing up the green, it would not be a trade. So this was no trade, and that happens. And if you don't take the trade, perfect, right? Now you could go back and start collecting the data. I wouldn't push back way too early or try to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to take a trade, especially if you don't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. If you have to force yourself to wake up to do something, you're probably not going to want to do it, right? So 5 o'clock, I am up that early, but maybe that's a little too early. So we do have it here, right? I know I could be up here looking at this trade. So we can start just collecting this data and seeing if it works or if it doesn't work, right? Here we do have the trade setup: 1 1 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. The pressures are all kind of, none of the pressures are pointing up, but once again, we kind of have that green all in our favor, and the green's been on top for a little bit on most of those. So that could be a bonus, and that could be something that you could start journaling as well. All right, time's starting to get up there on this video. I love this stuff. I love kind of proving things out. It gives you huge confidence. Let's see, if we would have taken it here, this is definitely pointing up. I don't know if this one would have hit the take profit or not. Let's go 90 times 2 is 180. We'll take a buy trade. See what happens. Really close, super close. No. Starts going down towards us. Let's see what happens. Looks like that momentum's starting to go in the other direction. Oh, hey, oh. And sometimes these will kind of take a little bit to, that was something else I had to start getting used to, is these can stay in the market for a little bit, right? I don't know why this is taking so long to load up. Computer's thinking about life here. So that trade would still actually be going right now, right? Because we are now right back up to what time it is in the current market. So that one would be still working, right? Still working towards take profit or stop loss, which that's why we call this a long-term 2x4. You're not going to get in and out of these trades. Some of them you will, some of you won't. So we still got to work on that. We'll collect the data as we get more data to see if it hits take profit and stop loss. And I would continue to start going back further and further and further to collect more and more data to build your truth in back testing or replay. All right, everyone, if you have questions about this, hit it up in the comments. If you wouldn't mind, please do what you're supposed to do on YouTube to help this get spread out to people that are learning or wanting to learn how to trade. Hit that subscribe, the like, comments. They all help the YouTube powers above. And other than that, we're going to get back rocking and rolling, keep working on this stuff. It is a channel to help you learn how to trade, and we'll keep working through it. So everybody have a happy and wonderful Wednesday, and we will talk to everybody tomorrow. Bye, everybody.